Hello, everyone, and welcome to UBS Trending. I'm Anthony Pastore. West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin has reversed course. After initially saying no in mid-July, he has now agreed that, among other things, a climate provision be included in the Build Back Better plan. So, how might that impact those green tech investment themes that my guest, Michelle LaLiberty, and I just spoke about on this show 2 weeks ago? Michelle, thanks for coming back. Quick turnaround. Only 2 weeks ago, we were sitting here not really knowing what was going to happen, but now we have maybe a little bit more information, but still a lot of questions.
Thanks for having me.
So we did talk about it on the show. What's changed since we were here? We know that Joe Manchin has said that with some provisions he would agree to the bill, but specifically going in more detail, what do we know?
Yeah, it's a great question because a lot can change in 2 weeks. So last time I was here, it was a few days after reports had surfaced that Senator Manchin had essentially deemed any potential climate spending out of the question, and his primary concerns were due to inflation. And fast forward to today, and it's very much back on the table. And again, I mentioned inflation. It's now being deemed the Inflation Reduction Act of 22. And essentially, it looks to both raise revenues as well as provide spending and climate spending specifically. So it aims to raise $739 billion in revenue through IRS enforcement, closing a carried interest loophole, a corporate minimum tax, as well as prescription drug pricing reform. And then on the climate side, investments total about $369 billion. And then finally, there was $64 billion more for the Affordable Care Act as well. So we basically went from not happening to very much on the table. He did announce that a deal has been reached between him and Senator Schumer. So of course, there's plenty of steps to go, but it looks like the odds are better this time.
Right. Politics, 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 which quotes one of my favorite lines in an old Mel Brooks movie. But we're always trying to catch someone saying something that would give you an inkling of what might come next. And this, I think, came as a surprise to a lot of folks that Manchin kind of came to the table here. And as you said, there are a lot of other things in the bill and some things that are potentially coming out, like universal pre-K and an extension of the enhanced child tax credit. But we're talking specifically about climate here. So what would you say then are the hurdles, especially with this bill getting signed and with those climate provisions in there?
Yeah, it's a great question because, as I mentioned, it's not finalized yet. There's still many steps that this bill needs to go through before it is signed. I think the first thing to note is that Senator Sinema has not yet commented on the bill, whether or not she supports it, and of course she has a very key vote in the Senate. So that's something to watch over the next couple of days, weeks. And the next thing I would point to, I think there are a few areas of potential contention that could end up holding this up. I think one being, there are some compromises in this bill for traditional energy as well. So things like permitting reform for traditional fossil fuel and pipelines. So that's something, certain members of Congress might have some issues with if they don't want to support more traditional energy sources. One potential area to watch again. And then the next thing I would point to is that carried interest tax loophole that the bill is looking to address. That's another point of contention. Some people support it, some people don't. So those are some of the key issues that I would just watch as this unfolds to see if these potentially hang the bill up at all.
Right, and as we know, this potential bill is a lot more limited than the original that the House Democrats had backed in the past. So for investors then, Michelle, especially those who are very interested in the green tech theme, what would you say are some of the takeaways and even at this point some of the risks?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I'll just focus on green tech. I did mention that there are some healthcare takeaways as well. A colleague of mine actually put out a blog on the healthcare takeaways, so please feel free to reach out if you're interested in that. But in terms of climate and the environmental takeaways, there are about 4 buckets that I would put towards the environmental piece. One being energy and renewables. Energy efficiency, number 2. Number 3, electric vehicles. And then 4, just for lack of a better term, we're just going to say that's other, because there are a lot of a number of different initiatives in this bill that span everything from sustainable aviation fuel to resiliency projects in low-income communities. So really it is quite broad in terms of the different pockets of environmental spending that have been announced. Just to put some numbers around that too, energy efficiency, for example, there's about $9 billion proposed for consumer home energy rebates, so things like appliances and rooftop solar. So a lot of energy efficiency kind of weaved throughout. There's also electric vehicle consumer tax credits for both new and used vehicles, different amounts, and there's also some income restrictions on that as well. And then, of course, I think the production and investment tax credits for clean energy is definitely one large piece of this bill. Nuclear tax credits would also be retained, and the solar and wind, again, the production and investment tax credits, those would be extended through 2032.
Terrific. And as you said, Kristen Sinema, who is the moderate Democratic senator from Arizona, does have to make a decision. So we'll be monitoring that, and I'm sure we'll have you back to talk more about what comes next. Michelle, always good to see you. I don't know when it's going to be. It might be a week, it might be 2, 4, but we'll keep track.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Great to see you, Michelle. Always a pleasure. And for more information on anything we discussed today, and Michelle also mentioned a blog that's out there from our colleague from the CIO, Eric Potiker. He's our healthcare analyst. You can visit our website at ubs.com/views. And make sure to follow us on social media. We've got content on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, plus all of our past UBS Trending episodes, just like this one, are available for you on demand. And if you do have any questions about your own portfolio or how this particular conversation could impact your investment horizons, make sure to speak with your financial advisors. Until next time, I'm Anthony Pastore. Have a great day, everybody, and remember to keep your eyes on what's trending. We'll see you soon.